Today, we chat with Latina entrepreneur and new mommy, Lissette Calveiro, who will not only tell us how she took her I am broke viral moment and escalated it into building a business, but she's also going to tell us about her passions and challenges as she helps others influence with impact.
We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm excited. Oh, well, I'm always excited that we're in the studio because I just love being in the studio. This is our life now. I'm still kind of like adjusting, but I'm so happy about it.
You look extra beautiful today.
Thank you. You know, sometimes they say like the worse you feel, the better you have to make yourself look on the outside.
I have a producer who wears red lipstick whenever she feels horrible. So every time I walk into the newscast, yeah.
So now they know.
No, now I know. So every time she's wearing red lipstick, she looks amazing. I know she's having a tough day, so I gave her some extra love.
Yeah.
But you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm wearing a skirt. It's like a whole thing. It's very, you know.
So last time, one of the episodes, we had one of those I listen, we don't judge moment. And Karen, I always come in full makeup. And, and again, it was for time efficiency because I have to go straight to work. But today, I did not have time. And I'm actually going the other extreme. I'm like, zero makeup. My hair is still kind of waved. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Because I was gonna start putting some like BB cream, and I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm going with
it. You're beautiful, so
Thank
it doesn't
you.
even matter.
So this is me and my Pamela Anderson. No makeup, my hair wet.
I'm here for it.
Look,
I'm here for it. Okay, are you ready with your motherish moment?
No, I'm not. I haven't even.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my motherish moment just from a few weeks ago because this is behind us now. But I still I was holding on to it because since we were on break for the holidays. But growing up, I had this tradition over the holidays of driving. Well, I didn't drive. My parents would drive. My dad would drive, and we would look at Christmas lights and we would play Christmas music. It's not a rare thing. I feel like a lot of people grew up.
I didn't have that, but okay.
Oh, okay. I'll take you. I could take you. But so I like try to do it with Victoria because we all want to recreate things that made us feel good, whatever. So one night she was like super into it. It was like the week before Christmas. She was super, super into it. And she's like, Mom, put my favorite Christmas song, which is All I Want for Christmas Is You from Mariah Carey. I'm like, okay, I put it on. We have the windows down. This girl went for the jugular. She was like, you know what, Mom? This song is true. And I was like, why? She goes, because all I want for Christmas is my mom. And she starts yelling out the window of the car, Dana, all I want is my mom. I don't need presents. Mommy, all I want for Christmas is you because I love you so much. Dude, I was like bawling and I was like, don't let her see this. Like, I was like, oh, that's so sweet, Mama. Thank you. Yeah, presents are overrated.
That is so sweet.
Dude, she like,
you're gonna make me cry.
Oh my God.
So
She
early
like,
in the morning.
and I was like, I literally felt like I couldn't breathe. It was so real. Like it was so, obviously if she doesn't get a gift, like she was going to be upset, but nothing. It was such a beautiful moment. And I was like, okay, this is a core memory for me, right? As a mom, because we talk about core memories for kids, but like core memories in your motherhood journey are a whole other thing. And I was like, I will never forget this.
I'm gonna cry.
Sorry, because it was just really, she really like it was, I don't know. And the last thing I'll say, oh, sorry, I told you I'm super sentimental today. Like I'm a mess. But I realized like, as hard as the year has been, it was a good, like, you're doing a good job. You're doing something right. Maybe not, you can't possibly be doing it all right, but you're doing something right. Because she was expressive. It was a beautiful sentiment. And she felt empowered to say it. So, okay.
I love that.
That's your mother.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, dude.
So my mother's moment, I guess because it's so fresh in my heart and my mind. Ford had his winter concert.
Mhm.
I walked in with zero expectation because I had 2 points of reference. The first performance, which was last year for also the winter time, he did amazing. He like was in the middle, and again, this was the first time he was
Oh, this you were
performing.
like,
I'm like,
yes.
what? Like, ese es mi hijo, like so proud, And then spring came, and I was like in the front row. I'm like, okay, like we got this. He was wearing like little, he was a farmer, like
Mhm.
theme, and he froze.
Right.
Like
I remember you
he
were very disappointed
yeah,
by
he was started crying. He was just like kind of walked off stage, came and sat with me, and I was just so pissed. Like I was zero empathetic with him, right? Because for me, it was such a foreign idea. Like, you know this, you like doing this, like just get up and do it. And the dad was like, listen, like he had a heart to heart. He's like, I know for you, it's like, like you're used to like public speaking, you're used to being on the camera. For me, who's like he's an introvert, like I rather die than like have to stand up and do anything. So he's a mix of both of us. So
Right.
just be more graceful, like more empathetic. Like maybe he's like,
Mhm.
being more like me. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I was annoyed. I was annoyed. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay. Not because of me, but because I don't want him like having to struggle with that going forward. So this summer, I'm like, you know what? I am open to anything, zero expectations. Like it is what it is. He had already told me in the morning, I may sing, I may not. I don't want to go. I don't want to do this.
He
I was like,
knows you.
okay. He like fought me on like, of course, like the whole little Spaniard Christmas holiday
You're
outfit.
still trying to do that.
He looks so cute, like little
Jesus.
Christmas shorts buttoned down, like the little loafers. Um, and he did so cute and he did so well. And then as soon as he was done, he was like, Mom, are you so happy?
Oh,
I know. Which worked for him. I'm like, well, I want you to be happy.
right.
Like,
I
I
was
want
gonna
you to
say,
do
like,
this
did
for
you
you. Like,
like turn that
and
back?
then like I took him and I bought him some banana bread and it was like a little reward moment. And then he's saying this thing which like melts my heart. He goes, Mom, I love you like the entire world. But then he like kind of mispronounces like kind of like me, but like the entire world. And I'm like, okay. And like, I don't know where you got this. I'm like, but like the entire world, like the
Like
size
as
of the
big,
entire,
yeah,
yeah. So I'm trying to like,
the
he's like, yeah,
intensity.
like the entire world and the stars and the planets and the thing and like
That's annoying.
everything. So I'm like, I love you. And he's just like in a really, you know what? He's also in a really cute stage where he's very expressive. So as soon as I pick him up and he gets in the car, he's into telling me, Mom, guess what? I'm like, I'm not gonna guess, so just tell me. But I'm like, okay, what is it? Like, what happened? And then he always tells me like an anecdote from school or class. And like there's always like they pick up on everything.
Mhm.
It's such a cute stage and age where they're like reporting back like
Yeah.
everything.
It's good and bad.
Um,
Anything of your personal life
yeah,
that he
but I'm
witnesses,
learning to just
everyone
like
knows.
listen and be like, okay, well, thank you for telling me, thank you for sharing. And then last thing, he's big into like, but don't tell anybody, okay? Like this is I'm like, okay, like as long as you don't keep secrets from mom, like I'll keep your secrets, but like let's not. So yeah. So when we have our guest, Lissette share her motherish moment. She's a new mommy. How old's your baby, Lissette?
She's 8 months.
Oh, so yummy.
Yeah.
We're actually
So
just
it
looking at a
is.
picture of my son when he was 9 months, and we're all like, it's the best.
She was like, I want another one. And I was like, that's cute. I'm good. Thank you.
This is the best. Like 8, 9, 10 months. Oh, so cute.
That's what I get when people see her. They're like, "How old?" That was my favorite, and I'm like, "Oh, ominous." But it's been really fun. I mean, I love your stories a lot, and for me, well, my husband and I, we're primary caregivers all day, so we live away from family. She's young enough where we both work from home. So far, we can kind of handle it, but it does become stressful because you kind of will be in like deep work, and all of a sudden she wakes up and it's time. That's it. You got to shut your laptop off. So I had one of those moments a few days ago where I was like, I was so close to getting that task done, but whatever, shut it down. We love playing music. Music's on our house all day, and Defying Gravity's playing because we're in our Wicked era. So she's like dancing, kicking her little arms and legs down. And when the, big climax comes out where she's like singing super loud and defying gravity, I picked her up and I kind of had her over me like Superman style. And she was cracking up, smiling, kicking her legs. Like, this is the best thing she's ever done in her whole life. And I was like, this actually probably is the best thing she's ever done in her whole life because there's so little that, like, these moments are so fun and valuable. And I was tearing up because I was like, I'm here worried about that stupid task that can get done tomorrow, the day after, the week after. And this is like the best moment of her entire day. And so that was my little moment, and a lot of those moments lately.
Makes me want to have another baby, you see? Cute. I like that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let me introduce Lissette. She is an entrepreneur. And I love the intro because when I was like researching and getting, to know more about her, it's crazy how people always say, oh, one moment could really, make you or kind of set you on a path. But I really want to give credit to Lissette. And yeah, you take a moment, but some people could either maximize it or just kind of let it happen and not do anything with it. So why don't you tell us, Lissette, a little bit about your story, your journey, and how about that moment, and how you were able to escalate that into an actual business to build your own brand, but also help others build their own brand.
Yeah. So the fun story is in 2018, it was the day or the year that I actually paid off my credit card debt. So when I did that, I wanted to celebrate it, but I'm Latina. And for me, talking about money, you don't do that. Talking about debt, like you really don't do that.
Mhm.
And I thought, everyone sees me as a content creator. So they think you're going to all these events, you're dining out at these restaurant openings. People don't understand that oftentimes you just get invited to those things. I'm not paying for those things. In fact, I'm in debt or was that entire time. So I kind of just went on the internet and had a moment and I just said it and I was like, hey, like I've actually been in, and funny enough, at the time it was $10,000 of credit card debt. Today, as a business owner, I'm like, we take on so much more debt. But at the time, as a young girl, I think I
Or
was like
that's a
20.
yeah, it's a big amount.
Yeah, I was like 24, I think 24, 25. And essentially, I was like, yeah, I just want to let you guys know this is what it is. I'm sure others can relate to this story, but everything you see online is not exactly how it is. That in and of itself got journalists' attention. Of course, I said yes to an interview with the New York Post, which I did not realize was the path for things to go viral, maybe in not the best ways always. And essentially, that article ended up going mega, mega viral. I remember that Kylie Jenner had just had her baby, and I was next to a photo of her baby in a newspaper. And I was like, I guess, we made it, right? And actually, that viral moment was really hard. I will admit that. I think a lot of people think virality and they're like, yes, finally, my name is out there. I'm getting the attention that I want. And it's usually very ugly. Usually, a lot
Wait,
of people
why is that?
saying,
I'm curious.
yeah, it's a lot of people saying the worst things about you on the internet for no reason. They don't know you, but they hate you. So for me, it was a little bit hard to deal with at the time because I was getting DMs. Granted, I was talking about debt and I was getting DMs like, unalive yourself. What are you doing here? You're worthless. Stop talking. Stop,
Crazy.
stupid
Yeah.
influencer.
The internet is just a dark place. It can be. It
Exactly.
can be. It can be.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that went. And of course, and I remember I have on my camera roll, I should probably share these one day. I was trying so hard to make almost like a response video one time. And it's me, and every time I speak, I'm crying. And I'm like, why are people so hateful over a topic that I thought was so relatable? Fast forward, it is relatable. Sharing your story
And also,
is
you
super
weren't
valuable.
trying to go viral. You were just literally like, you just got your camera and just kind of shared the story without the intention of
Yeah.
getting all the attention.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you say that because one of my mantras that I give all my clients is don't make content for attention, make it with intention. And that's what that was, but it just got attention. And I remember kind of making this, and the way I got out of it was realizing, fine, you know what? If I have eyeballs, I'm going to use it. And what I did was I started having conversations about the reality of the creator space, the reality that I'm probably not in as much debt as other people that you don't realize are in debt. The reality that, oftentimes creators are getting invited to things for free or, not disclosing it, but they're not paying for everything that creates this
Right.
lifestyle of
They're
being
not
a
maintaining
creator.
the lifestyle they're portraying.
Exactly. And also the fact that, being a content creator oftentimes comes with expenses. If you're not someone with a million followers, you probably will have to pay out of pocket for stuff. So that conversation led to kind of positioning me as someone who was more of an expert in the creator space. Which at the end of the day is what I really wanted to do. I was working in influencer marketing. So I was like, this is great. Now, how do I make my platform the vehicle for me to get more clients in the creator economy space? So I used that as my first kind of out to start freelancing. And like every other business owner, I think, oftentimes it starts as a side hustle. So that's kind of what I did. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to here or there give influencer marketing consulting. As a creator, I am working with brands. That was kind of the point of me sharing my story as well. And I would love to advise creators. So that's kind of how it started. It was just a hodgepodge of things that I like to do. And then from there, I decided, you know what? I really like making content for brands. I also really like working with creators directly. I'm going to take those all the way. So I ended up quitting my job, which was again in influencer marketing. And I decided, you know what? I keep building these programs for other companies and agencies for influencers. I'm just going to go do my own thing. I did that hard launch. What's interesting though is I quit December 2019 and then came the pandemic, but that's a podcast for another day, how to survive the pandemic as
The
a
whole
business owner.
episode.
And yeah, and I took that and it's been successful. And I think something to add to the story is every service I've ever come up with, every piece of the business that has come to life has been story driven or client driven. It's been driven by a personal story, something that I'm really passionate about. And it starts from that place, and then we build something from it. And that's even how we market it. It's what's the story behind that service. The other way, it's client driven. For example, this year, our highest revenue driver was talent management. We only started that because our clients were demanding it. They were like, okay, I love this program, but what if you had this one? So kind of really listening to our clients and trying to build with that, which I think goes back to the original plot of the story. I was listening to people and thinking, hey, this is a really relatable story to share. We're not talking about this enough. Let's talk about it. Ends up going viral. So kind of like a full circle moment.
I mean, I also think it's interesting to be in the space because it has changed before our eyes, right? Like even from like calling them like influencers and other content creator. You know, it's so funny. I was looking up. So when I was looking up for the title and the topic of this episode, I looked up momfluencer, like if there was actually like a, an actual term. So Wikipedia has it as a term, and their definition sounds like a joke. Like I'm like, is this a parody? Like it was so confusing, and I'm gonna read it because, and again, maybe you could help us, Lisa, like kind of redefine, because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of moms who want to spend time with their kids, this could become like a good option
Yeah.
to launch a business, to kind of like they're already recording and capturing these moments and sharing their life and their children. So I think a lot of moms look into this as an option to kind of like, build
Yeah.
the business. Anyways, I put it says mom influencer, momfluencer. This is Wikipedia. Someone needs to change this. Is a mother who shares the early moments of motherhood on social media, often utilizing sites such as Instagram. The term dadfluencer is less common
Yeah.
and refers to a father instead.
We don't
The
say.
term carries it with possible connotations of stress or obligation felt by the new mother in terms of the new mother feeling the need to take a high volume of pictures of a new child and share these pictures on such social media sites. Some
I hate
influencers
everything about this.
claim to use the new motherhood position in tandem with social media as a means to earn additional income. I'm like, what? Like this
First of all, this is the opposite of we listen and we don't judge, because they're so loaded with stuff in there. Like, oh my God.
Anyways, I'm gonna close it. This is the last part. It says, while others assert that the influencer scene fully believes that nobody's actually making any money. So
Yeah.
why don't you help us correct this definition of
Let's
First
do
of
this in real time.
first of all,
Let's
are we killing the term influencer? Like, is it like non-existent, or is it still like a thing?
I mean, I'm a fan of killing the term. I think, you are an influencer who happens to be a mom, right? And I think it also goes back to conversations you've probably had multiple times is your identity as a mom doesn't have to become your identity.
Oh, this is
And
mother-ish, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're moms, but we're a thousand other things as
Yeah.
well. And so like it doesn't end there,
And it's funny, even when we
Exactly.
started the podcast,
Look at that.
and
4 years ago, we were
I know,
on it.
and we were new moms, but we knew that wasn't what was going to define us as women.
Ooh, but I will
Right
say that
away, I
like
was like, oh, I'm not.
you
Yeah.
you were so clear on it. And actually, this is something that I DM'd Lissette about the other day, because I like had a notion of I am more than this. but I was saying it from here out, but I wasn't practicing it at the time,
Mm.
you know? Um, what?
I know.
And with Lisette, what she did the other day, one of the things that caught my attention is that she's been doing these like hauls of like cleaning out her closet because she's like, there's all this like pre maternity clothes. It doesn't fit me. And like, why are you gonna hold on to this? Like, keep it? No. Do I keep it? Not whatever. And like it took me back, to when I finally came to terms with that because it took me like 2 years. And I messaged her and I was like, I'm so glad that you're in this space so early on. Your baby's 8 months old, you're already there. And it just like I was like, oh, good. She's not, with my path, which like it took me like 2 years. And for 2 years, I would open my closet and it was like the ghost of my past just staring
Yeah.
at me. And it was a disappointment every single time. And it was
Yeah.
hard to say,
Mm.
I'm gonna let go of this now. And when I did, I was like, this feels good. But really it was again, it was this feels good from here out. The internal work hadn't been done, but now it has.
Yeah. And I'd say I go one category at a time in my closet because to your point, it's so step by step because
Yeah.
you're constantly doing internal work. And I think with social media, the unique piece is that the internal work that you're doing is happening publicly.
Mm.
So for me, it almost feels like there is a little bit of pressure to do the work faster, if that makes sense. And it's a pressure that I've put on myself. And I think I wrote down something from that definition pressure to take pictures, pressure to make money from being a mom. I think that's what a lot of people think this is, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm a mom now. I better capture everything versus like, this is such a sweet moment. I want to capture it. And
Right.
I remember in early days, I used to tell Justin, my husband, I was like, this is such a cute moment. Please like take a video of it. And he's like, for what? And I'm like, I want to remember it, but like this would also be really good B-roll. And then I was like, what are you saying? Like, it's like a moment of me like holding my child in a really hard day. And I'm like, in my head, I was thinking, oh, this would be a really good lesson to share with people that there are hard days. Yes, it's a really good lesson, but take yourself out of that for a second because it needs to be a lesson. It needs to be something that you learn. It doesn't need to be something that you immediately work through, grow through, talk about. I think that's the pressure a lot of people feel if they're trying to show motherhood on their platform. I also remember when I first, and I don't know if you know this, but I hard launched my baby. So I hid my
Yeah. Oh,
pregnancy.
this is crazy. This is a
Yeah.
go for it. Sorry.
Literally hid the whole thing. And I was doing videos half up. Like you would not know if I had a giant belly right now. I was doing videos from the back, doing DIYs in my house. No one knew. So when I launched it, it was a lot for people to catch up with, right? They were like, okay, like you're a mom now. And I remember saying, I have no intention of making this a mom account because there is that stigma that like, well, you have a kid, guess you're a mother, guess you're a momfluencer now, guess you're a mom account. And for me, I was like, that's not like it's not my intention to do that. But yes, I spend 24/7 with my child, so I'm probably going to talk about this stuff. But I'm talking about it in the context of my mission and my identity right now. My
Yeah.
identity is as an entrepreneur, Latina entrepreneur, that is the focus of it all. I'm going to share the hard times. I'm going to share that I'm a work from home mom. So sadly, air quotes, it means I'm going to be using my laptop next to my baby. Other people might judge me for that, but that's my reality. And sharing that more from a place of like, hey, if this is you, don't worry, I'm the same. And again, it goes back to the reason it even went viral. When you look at the videos that have gone viral, actually the postpartum series gets a ton of traction. And I think similarly, a lot of us are staring into our closet like, it's not even only that it doesn't fit, it's just a completely different chapter of my life that I don't really relate to anymore. I have this like H&M shirt that's been there for 15 years. When's the last time I wore that crop top? So it's just not me and not my style. So back to kind of the momfluencer piece, I think people assume once you become a mom, that needs to be the focus of your platform, and it's not. And I think you also mentioned that now, we say content creator, we don't really say influencer. And I've always been kind of an advocate for say what feels good. But at the end of the day, everyone can make content, right? We're all making content, even if you have no intent to monetize it.
Right.
when you have influence, when you have people who trust you, when you have a community that engages with you, that's really when you can build a business. And it's not only, yes, working with brands, but if I want to sell something, I need people who trust me. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter if I have 100, 200,000 followers. If they don't trust me, it doesn't really mean anything.
It's
Yeah.
funny. The other day I was like looking like for like holiday outfits and I went back and that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm really influenced by these content creators, influencers who style I like, right? So
Mhm.
like that's how they monetize and
Yeah.
that's how they make their money. But they're very efficient. Like I want to give them credit because I go and search for them thinking, okay, what would this person wear? Like what is she wearing for her Christmas photos? What is this person doing? Like so it was like, I don't know, like a random aha moment for me, like, wow, like these people really have influence and an impact on
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And again, this is just me as a consumer, right? That I'm being honest about the fact that they do have,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and then a lot of people like to minimize, like, oh, they know they're these people making all this money. But first of all, there's a lot of discipline. And I think, Lisa, maybe since you advise so many people in the space, what
Yeah.
really works and like that success doesn't happen overnight. Like there is a plan, a consistency
Yeah.
behind all these people who really are doing really well.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just taught a workshop last night on the topic, and there's this framework, and I'll share it as the framework because it's easier to remember this way, that you need to focus on content, so showing up consistently. You also need to focus on cultivating community. So it's not just about followers, it's about people liking you at the end of the day, right? So sharing those like nurturing moments with your community, showing up as the real you, showing the highs and lows, because that's how people will relate to you. That's how you build community. So, content, community, and credibility, actually, which is, I think, one that people don't really think about. They think, yes, I can just show up online, I can make a bunch of content, I have really good engagement. But for you to end up, again, monetizing, whether it is working with brands, which I think is the first thing a lot of people, associate social media success with, or you're launching your own program, or you're launching merch, digital products, whatever it is that you're doing, credibility does matter. You just don't have to think about it so deeply as I need to be the expert of XYZ. Your story is enough of an expertise, right? Like you've gone through it. You've taught people about it. That's enough, right? You've had conversations about it. So what I usually suggest there is if you show up consistently enough, if you actually show up with a unique point of view enough, then people are going to trust you. So for me, in the example of content creator, I used to have this series, and this series I think was a big reason that a lot of the creator programs I launched were successful. And it was called Shit Influencers Don't Talk Enough About. And that's how it would start. It was like, here's something that influencers don't talk enough about, like with the beeping of the cuss word. And it got people's attention. And all I was doing was talking to people about just like different areas of influencer marketing. Some of it was technical, some of it was, hey, we're all burnt out, you know? So kind of just having a moment, but that's building credibility because people were like, wait, that's like I haven't heard that before. Or wait, she kind of brings up a good point that other people aren't talking about. Then people start trusting you. So even like, in this podcast setting, you bring up the idea that we're mother-ish, right? And some people might be like, that is so true. Like I didn't think about it that way. You're all of a sudden building credibility with people who are going to
I always
trust
tell
you.
people
So
that vulnerability builds credibility, right? If
yeah,
you're willing to be vulnerable and open and just kind of like put your guard down, eventually vulnerability will lead to credibility.
Yeah.
exactly. I agree with that.
Dropping.
Yeah.
Market
No,
it.
I,
Trademark.
We
I,
like to hype each other ourselves up, by the way,
well, we
behind
have
others.
to
So we're
because if
like,
we don't do it, hello.
yeah, we're like, we're gonna be.
There's so many things listed. There's like four different things in my head right now that I'm like, I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that. I'm gonna go back to the one that's furthest back in our conversation, which is when you were talking about, you're talking about the filming, telling your husband to record you, the B-roll, da da da, and like how you're talking in your head about like learning the lesson and sharing it in real time or as close as possible as to when you're learning it. And the only thing I wanted to add there was that it will happen so many times over and over in different ways. So whatever you learn now with your child,
Yeah.
fast forward to a year and a half, you might reevaluate that thing that you learned in a different way. And you might be like,
Yeah.
actually, this doesn't fit anymore. Like
Oh, yeah.
you know? So that's just like one thing I wanted to point out because that's definitely happened to me where I'm like, oh, I figured this out and this is how I approach motherhood now. And then 2 years later, I'm like, hard stop. Now
Yeah.
we have to pivot and do it differently. Um,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is just talking about creators and influencers in general and how they're like real people at every level. I
Yeah.
mean, in my past job, in my past life, I mean, I dealt with like massive global influencers, creators, whatever, public figures, and like the conversations that I would have with them on the phone were just insane, where they're like, no, I'm just like dealing with this. And you're like, dude, this is wild. If the people on the other side of the platform knew
In a way that what they were dealing
that they're
with, like,
human, that
okay.
they're human because people forget. And like we were talking before we got on this call, we were talking about how like the internet is so powerful and can really like make you or break you, right? Like it's so aggressive in some ways. And like there's people that I obviously can say their names, but there's people that I've spoken to and had like conversations in depth on the phone for an hour of like, hey, like let me bring you back, you know? But these are people that have millions and millions of followers that like we're just it's hard. It's hard because you could have a million wonderful comments. You have a few that are not good,
Mhm.
and it's going to stick with you and you're going to be like, So this whole thing for especially for anyone who's listening, like a few things I think. Number one is that if you're going to put yourself out there online, if you're going to try to, be intentional, like you said, Lisette, about this, like know that like you're going to have some thick skin and you're going to have to go prepared for hearing some things that you might not like, you might
Mhm.
not like, and the things that you might not like, be open to, okay, what is this person saying? Are they saying it because they're a troll, which is
Mhm.
probably
Right.
85% of the time? Or is there something there that maybe I should think about, right?
Mhm.
Then the other piece is that it's not a very predictable path, at least I think, unless that you may feel differently, but like, or like if I post consistently and if I do this, like it's gonna happen.
Right.
And it doesn't happen
Like,
like
right, there
for
isn't a set
everyone.
formula, right?
Like
Like,
it's very
so
hard.
considering the fact that there isn't a set pathway or a set formula to success in the space, what advice would you share, Lisa? Like, what does work?
Yeah. I mean, it really goes back to showing up because to your point, it's never a guarantee that you're going to be the next person with a million followers and $1 million, but it kind of is a guarantee the way the algorithms work that if you're showing up frequently enough from a place of intention, and I don't just mean this deeply, I mean like you're strategically using the platform, you are using hooks so people know what the content is about.
Right.
Eventually, people are going to find you.
Can you
Like I
explain
love
what
giving
a hook is? Because some people might not know what that is.
the what?
A hook. Explain what a hook is.
Yes. So the hook kind of being those first 3 seconds of the video, right? So someone, let's say that the postpartum series, for me, you'll see right on the screen, purging my closet postpartum, this or that. So, and whatever edition it is. If you are interested in that topic, if you're like, oh my God, yeah, I remember my postpartum days, or if you
Yep.
are in my space right now where you're like, wait, I'm postpartum and I'm totally dealing with this right now, you might get to my video. You might stop when my video shows up in your feed. You're like, let me watch this. So kind of building that searchability, I think that's a better way to
Yeah.
describe it,
Yeah.
is like if people can find your videos, you're probably on the path to getting a community, right? If your videos are engaging enough, so we've probably all seen things on social media where it's like it's almost like show and tell, just someone's beautiful aesthetic life, a vlog of their life, maybe isn't as relatable as me really getting to see maybe a vlog of someone's life talking to me about being a work from home mom and just showing the highs and lows of the day. That to me is more relatable. So I might engage with that person more than someone just showing me that they went on a coffee run and they have this amazing aspirational life. That's just me, the things I'm looking for, right? So if you do that enough, frequency, you probably will grow a following.
Right.
But the challenge is, yeah, it's like, how do I do that without burning out? How
Mhm.
do I do that when I go viral, to your point, not letting it get to me?
Yeah.
We have some clients. There's two that I'm just thinking about. One of them, I remember she started working with me when she had like 20,000 followers or so, which is not nothing. But in the space of monetizing, right? You think it's nothing. And Reels had just come out at the time. And I was like, just try it. She's like, no, I don't like doing video. It like really intimidates me. And I'm like, just like turn on your camera and you love getting dressed. Just put an outfit on. Like just try, just experiment. The experiment turned into, wait, I kind of like this. The wait, I kind of like this turned into, oh my God, I'm going to start a series of 30 colorful fall outfits. Okay. That series turned into something she did over and over and over, where now she's 250,000 followers, is one of the highest earning clients I've ever had. And it's just because she kept replicating kind of what worked for her. It's a
Right.
mutual, like, wait, this is really fun for me.
And also
And
so
oh,
good and authentic to her,
Yeah.
right? So like
Yeah.
we always talk about like listening to our bodies and how it reacts. So if your nerves is uncomfortable, if it's cringe, if it's like stop doing, I mean, again, I'm not an expert in the space, but
No, 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 but it
right?
is,
It's
it's a
you're
big
right.
because they'll feel it. I also think like the people who are watching your videos, like they'll feel if you're just like, oh, I'm putting on a front here, or if you're just being
Yeah.
real.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something I tell a lot of people when they're like, I don't know. I just, every creator, yes, numbers in a sense matter in your business, right? You're like, if zero people are watching my video, I'm getting zero marketing. Therefore, I'm not really, putting myself out there enough. So a lot of creators worry about numbers. And what I tell people usually when this happens, if you're a creator listening or anyone who kind of works in that space, is if you're worried about the algorithm, it's time to play. It's time to experiment because you'll probably find the thing that, air quotes, hits the algorithm if you're doing something that's really fun for you. And that's what happened to that person. It was like, wait, I love putting outfits together. Like, duh, why should I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go do that in my own little colorful maximalist way. And that ended up working for her. If she was going back and, it's interesting when she first started working with me, her question of like, the first question she asked me was, I'm making these aesthetic flat lays. You remember those pictures where people would put like the purse next to the phone, next to the coffee, and like their hand was holding it at a little coffee shop. And she was doing all of these, and she was like, "But these photos are not really getting a lot of views and likes." And I was like, "Why are you making them?" She's like, "I don't know. That's what like I see on the internet, so I feel like I have to do that." And I was like, "But if you think you have to do that, it's
Yeah.
probably not authentic to you. Your community probably notices." And that's why it's not getting, the traction you're looking for. Let's go find something else. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the path that people took that way. And to your point, there's no formula, but if you do it enough, if you do it consistently enough, I'm pretty sure you will see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah. I had one moment where I went viral I think it was earlier this year, probably like January or something. The only time this ever happened to me, but I was shitting my pants. Like I mean, I'm sorry.
Which video was it?
So it was the most unexpected thing ever because I
Is
I decided to share that I started making my dog's food, right? This was last year.
Oh, yes.
I was making my dog's food and homemade food, whatever. And I was like, 40 bucks a week making my dog's homemade food. And I just show the recipe, da da da. And I just put it out there. It was a crappy video. Like it wasn't even like, I'm so proud of the editing of this video. No, it was the lamest video ever. For whatever reason, it got picked up by the algorithm and
yeah.
the algorithm. And then it was just like, it didn't even happen instantly. It happened like 48 hours after, right? So I'm at a mall and I'm like, yo, this is weird. My notifications were like blowing up and I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, oh my God. I was like freaking out. I'm like, this is terrible. And in come all the comments of like, you're doing it wrong. You didn't put liver and like, oh, this chicken broth has this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna like, and I live terrified because my name is Karen. You can't mess up with
Yeah,
anything.
you can't
Like,
be a Karen
you
if you're
can't, you
Karen.
can't, like, you can't complain. You can't, and my freaking Instagram is at Karen. So I was like, oh, she's such a Karen. She swears she knows about dog food or whatever. Then, like, so that continued for like 2 days of just like going, 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 going. And then some expert, like people started tagging some account on my video, like
Yeah.
for him to do a review of my recipe. And it was like a like very well-known account that does like reviews, like they do the side by side. They did a remix. The guy did a remix of my reel, like commenting in real time as I'm making it. And I literally was like, when I clicked on it and I saw, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna sit down. I have to sit down to watch this. And like, here we go. Like, and so thank God he was like, actually, I think it was pretty good. It wasn't, this, she could have done this, but this was good and this was that. And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. So stressful. And I swear I was
Funny,
like,
that's like an
I
expert in
never want to
everything, a
experience
dog food
this again.
expert. Like,
Right. And then I had to do a follow-up video because I did learn. And that was like to what I was saying about these like comments, like you're gonna get stuff that's like, oh, and then, but there might be something you can learn, right? And so
Yeah.
I learned about the importance of organs in the dog food recipe world. And so I updated the recipe with everything that the people said. And that one did really well too. And I was like, okay, here, guys, like, toma,
you're like, this
ya,
is my
stop,
space.
I'm
The
done.
dog,
Like,
the
yeah. And then I was like, I'm giving up. Like, I don't know more about it. Like, that's all I knew. And so I'm like, it feels fake for me to sit here and be like, and this week I made my dog a pumpkin, whatever. No, like, I wasn't going to go down that lane,
Yeah.
I always tell my team, fun gets it done, right? So like
Yeah.
if
Pamela with the quotes
it's
today.
true, fun gets it done. Like you need to have joy in the process.
Yeah.
Like if there's no
Yeah.
joy, because again, at work, we deal with so much heavy stuff and like
Yeah.
really dramatic stuff. But like in the
Right.
process of like delivering whatever it is that we're delivering or getting, gathering the information that we need, it needs to be fun. Like
Yeah.
it needs to be
Yeah.
fun, even if it means like the community, like working in team, like the people that you work with. Like for
Mhm.
me, fun gets it done. And when you are enjoying the people you work with and when you're enjoying what you're creating and what you're,
Yeah.
recording and kind of writing and sharing, then it's going to get done. And it's
Yeah.
going to be done in a consistent way, which is going to be the most successful way to get
Mhm.
anything done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
And that's the formula.
All right. Well, Lisette, I just want to ask one more thing before we close here. How are you doing with motherhood? How are you doing?
Such a great question. And I actually want to add that that's a question I didn't realize I wasn't asking moms enough in my life until I became a mom,
It
which
was
I'm sure we all
happening.
have.
Okay, it happens.
Like
Again.
the second I became the mom, like the first thing that actually Karen emailed me was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Okay, since you ask, but it's true. You're not aware of how necessary that question is and how real it needs to be until you become a mom yourself."
Exactly. I'm feeling good. And it's interesting because it has highs and lows, but you also don't want to devaluate when things are going really well. And I feel like right now it feels very empowering to know that we've kind of balanced ourselves in our approach to parenthood. And I know this is a question for me, but obviously your partner is literally part of the process. But I reflect a lot now that she's 8 months on the early days when I was tracking by the second on every app and like freaked out if she was gonna wake up, let her sleep for 3 more minutes. That's what the app says. And now I'm like, she's chill. She's fine. Is she showing any cues of anything? It's totally fine. And I think for me, that's her alarm that she's about to wake up. But for me, I know that that tells me I'm more grounded as a mom today than I was before. I trust myself as a mom than I never have before. And I know that whatever hard thing comes, I'll deal with it when it comes. And to your point, I'll have to evolve my position on different things because right now it's go with the flow. When she's a toddler, I'm going to need a schedule. So, feeling really good right now, thankfully.
Good, 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 good. I'm glad. Well, thank you so much for being on Motherish. Thank you for sharing all of your insights and your learnings and a little bit about, behind the curtain of your day to day. I think it was really useful for anyone who is maybe aspiring to go into this or
Mhm.
works in the field and just like, loves to chat about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
And where can people find you, Lisette?
So you can find me. My handles are at Lissette Calv. Spelling, I'm sure will be somewhere. I mostly use Instagram and Threads to talk about all the space of the creator space and tips, etc., and my life as a mom. And then I'm in a few other places, but I'd say those two are the best ones if you want to have these conversations.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Lisette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
What's your
Okay.
baby's name, Lisette?
Athena.
Athena. Oh, I love that.
Thanks. Yeah, we are big Greek mythology fans for no reason other than we think it's cool. So people are like, "Oh, are you Greek?" No, just think it's cool.
I just like it. I just like it. We loved it.
That's
We had
awesome.
a
So this episode will come out at some point in January. probably mid January, but we'll make
The week of, we'll send you
yeah,
all
we'll make
the.
sure Maria lets you know. All right.
Amazing. Thanks, y'all. This is so fun. And I love all the conversations you have. So thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, take care.
See ya. Bye.